Get this interview going. Just a minute, y'all. This interview going. Just waiting on my guest. Man. Man, how everybody doing out there? Y'all good? Waiting on my guest to join. All right, our guest is here, Miss Krystal. See if she can hear us. She's getting the audio going. Can you hear me? I think you need to turn your mic on.
You hear me loud and clear?
Yes, yes. All right, y'all. Our guest is here, Miss Krystal Williams. How you doing?
I'm all right.
All right, all right. So for all the people, I'm doing pretty good. So for the people out there who don't know who you are, give a quick introduction of yourself.
My name is Krystal Williams. I am a band director of 14 years. I am I'm a DC native originally, but I currently live in Baltimore, and I'm a high school band director at an all-girl public high school. It's the oldest one in the nation, Western High School.
Okay. So give us your band background. You know, did you play band in high school, college, stuff like that?
I started playing an instrument in the 6th grade. As the teacher comes around and they says, hey, if anybody's interested in band, they did kind of what we call pull-out schedule. So I would get pulled out. However, I didn't have an instrument. I was signed up for band, and my parents kind of like, we think you're going to quit. So they didn't really, I'll say, stress getting an instrument. So I sat in band for about almost the first or second, all the way almost into the second quarter without an instrument. So everybody was learning, and I didn't have an instrument. But I have an uncle whose daughter played clarinet. I wanted to play saxophone, and they priced saxophones, and you know what that answer was? Oh, hell no. No, we're not buying that. So I have an uncle who had a clarinet from his daughter. It had been in his trunk for about, let's say 10, 15 years. She went to college. Wow. It went in his trunk and never came out. So he called my dad up and said, hey, I got this clarinet still, and we opened that case up, and I swear to goodness, like the souls of all clarinet players past came out. It was dusty. It was horrific. Like the cork was coming off. But we took it to the repair shop. They did a complete overhaul over it. And so I didn't get my clarinet, I think, finished fixed until about January, maybe February of the school year. So everybody's been playing. Right. But I had been paying attention, and I knew how to read music, and I had been studying the fingering. So as soon as it came back from the shop fixed, I just said, I'm just gonna go at it. And I was able to play all the music that everybody had been practicing. But then we had a concert maybe a couple of weeks later. I could play all the music. It was kind of, I guess, destiny.
Okay.
My middle school band director, the person that kind of started me off really into bandom, is Roosevelt Pratt. He's at E.E. Smith.
Okay.
And he was fresh out of college, so he was kind of fired up, you know, still with that HBCU spirit. He brought that to the classroom. And so every day I was kind of fired up about band, because unfortunately that same year my mother died from complications of the AIDS virus. So I was
Sorry
depressed.
to hear that.
I was going through, thank you. But, you know, the band room kind of became my safe haven. It became the place that I can express my emotions and, you know, kind of connect with people. Because I'd almost stopped talking to people for like a year. Like I was just turned into a hermit, you know.
That's very understandable.
Yeah, but Pratt, he'd come in fired up, chart out some stuff on the board for pep band, say, all right, we're playing this today. We had rehearsals on Saturdays. This is middle school. We rehearsed after school like we was in high school. I told you he was fired up. And you know, he took us to competitions. He took us to local high school games. And I think that was the turning point for me. I said, man, I want to be a band director. This is dope. You could do this every day. You come in, you know, get to play music. And it was the first time that his band room was where I learned that you can play music that was like from the radio. Like, you know, when you first start out, you playing like hot cross buns, you know.
Right.
But man, he would chart it out and we played at pep band, we would memorize it. But he took us to a game. We took us to a Howard Hampton game in DC. And I remember, I don't know whether it was Howard or Hampton, because I ain't know that much, but somebody did like the whole soundtrack to Boomerang. I'm dating myself. I was like, this is dope. I know all this music. I don't know why I was watching Boomerang when I was 12. That's a whole nother issue. I should have been watching that. But that's who fired me up about band.
Okay. So at what age did you like fall in love with music? Like, you know, bands and stuff like that?
When I want to say real young, maybe when I was like 5, I have some cousins that were into band heavy. I have a cousin that was a drum major at Edna Carr. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and he used to be doing this stuff, and like he only came up in the summertime because I live in Maryland. He would come up in the summertime, you know. That's kind of that thing that happened back then. You don't get to see some of your cousins from out of town until school out.
Right.
He would be doing all this, you know, he would be moving and doing splits in the living room and all kinds of stuff at my aunt's house. And I was like, man, this is dope. I don't know what you're doing, but it's dope. And I had another cousin at the time who came from North Carolina. We moved up. My whole family migrated from North Carolina.
Okay.
And he was the drum major at Potomac High School in the 80s. So I had these cousins that were like, the one that went to Potomac, he played like all the brass instruments. His closet was full of instruments. And I was like, you know, this is where I kind of got that fire. Like I wanna be in band. And I kind of followed in their footsteps. You know, I ain't make it to be a drum major past high school because, you know, I'm short.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. Ain't nobody gonna see me unless I got a like 10-foot mace.
Okay, so how is it being a band director at an all-girls school? Like what are the challenges that you face?
Believe it or not, I'm high school girls in the absence of boys is great. Oh man, I can push them real far. I start my band over every year almost because some of them go into these high academic tracks. It's a very academic school. So some of them might not be able to take band past the first year, but sometimes they can still stay for like pep band, marching band in the following years. But they're very focused and they have a high standard for themselves. Like girls are overachievers, I think, at a certain age over boys. It kind of fluctuates depending on what age group you're talking about, but they're team players. That's what's really different. They're not trying to outshine each other. They just want it to be right together, which when I deal with my marching band, which is combined, it's a difference because boys are always being competitive. And, you know, our girls like, nah, we all need to sound good. So that's one thing I love about them. They're very quick, and they're like the top 10% of my district. So they're pretty smart. I can move them from I don't know what end to blow in September to March, taking them to band assessments, NPAs, and they playing grade 3, grade 4 music and getting like superior ratings and excellent ratings. We haven't had below a 2 rating in like 5 years.
Wow.
They're very, I'm no offense to the gentleman. I taught all boys in middle school before, and I like them too. I just don't like the genders mix. I believe that you can, certain age groups, you can push them a little bit more without the distraction. But
Right.
they my favorite. I love my band girls.
Okay. So what's some of the best advice that you've received since becoming the band director?
My college band director, I went to Morgan State, and my college band director, Melvin Miles, he gave me some tips before I went in the classroom. He said, don't smile until December. I don't think he literally meant don't smile, because that's like almost impossible. But he kind of had to be stern, like stand your ground and make sure that you've established respect. Because that, without respect, you can't move your students. If they don't respect you and you don't respect them, it's going to be a tug of war when it comes to trying to get them to produce. So making sure that they understand you have a clear idea of where you're going. I'm an avid planner for my band room. There isn't almost a day I don't know where I want to go and how I want to get there.
Okay. So what made you want to become a band director?
Hold on, somebody called me and knocked me out of my sound. Here we go. I think we're good. All right, let's see. If you talking, maybe that'll be it. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what made you want to become a band director?
I wanted to be a band director because I don't like to sit still. I'm real busy. If you look at my Facebook page, like I can be hiking on the side of, a trail, and then 30 minutes later be at the pool, and then another 30 minutes be dressed in business attire in a meeting, for my district. I don't like to sit down, and being a band director, every day is different. There isn't a day that's ever the same. I like that kind of quick change of environment, and I like the newness that happens when you're a teacher, or specifically band director. You don't have to sit at the desk. Students aren't doing, this busy work where they're sitting at a desk and they're just writing all day. I get to interact with them. So that's mainly why I don't like to sit still. I love music. I'm a true band head. I love band.
Okay, so what would you say is probably the hardest transition from middle school to high school band?
Middle school to high school band, for me or students?
For you and students.
For me, I taught K through 8 for 7 years. Okay. My first 7 years was K through 8. I taught at a charter school, and so I didn't start students on instruments till the 6th grade. The developmental stages between 8th grade and 9th grade are apples and oranges. 8th graders are the kings of the school. They could be know-it-alls. They haven't quite got a grasp on their emotions. They can be a little flighty, I call it. They smelling themselves. That's what my grandma would say. And so you gotta be really tough. Like, you have to be really firm with middle schoolers, because any deviation from a routine, you're just opening the door for chaos. I'm telling you, they can smell blood. I feel like they're vampires, and as soon as you get a cut, they on it. But high school, when they go to high school, they're scared, because now they're not the big fish.
Right.
And so sometimes getting them to produce in the 8th grade, I could get my 8th graders to do anything, because they had that confidence. But when they transition to 9th grade and everybody's older than them, bigger than them in some cases, more experienced, that transition is tough for kids. And it's tough for teachers to be able to gauge if you actually have to teach middle school through high school, because there are a lot of schools like that now.
Okay. So what would you say is the biggest misconception when it comes to female band directors as opposed to male band directors?
Ooh, I don't even think I have to put band director on it, but I'm just gonna say, um, we're not allowed to be aggressive.
Mm.
We're not allowed to. I remember my first evaluations as a band director was always, oh, you're real gruff. But I would watch the football coach pretty much almost cussing kids sideways. And, I told your kid take a lap because they was late.
Mm.
And, I got an email sent to the principal. I'm like, whoa. And often the misconception is that we are bees, that we have attitudes. And sometimes it's the same type of fire and passion that you see in male band directors, but, social norms are social norms. And they're rooted in stereotypes of how they think you should act. But being a band director is like being a coach. You got to be tough. You got to be able to push kids, motivate kids. And so that stereotype that we're aggressive, or sometimes the other stereotype is that we don't know what the hell we're doing. I constantly have to fight. Even had this problem with staff on occasions, male staff, where they would kind of usurp authority, not maybe maliciously, but they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna come in front of you." I'm like, "Whoa, back up! I got this. I have more degrees than you and more experience. Sit down." So I'm very picky with who I allow to work with me, because it's very easy that your authority, and when kids see it, that's a dissension that you don't need in your program. Although I do welcome help from people, but understanding that I expect the same type of hierarchy that a male band director would expect, that respect, and being behind the vision that I have set, and what I like to do with this program moving forward. So that stereotype, you don't know what you're doing, or that you are, you're just aggressive, and there isn't any rhyme or reason, like we're driven by our emotions. I am pretty even person. Uh, Kids don't know if I'm angry or mad sometimes.
Okay. So what are some of your recruiting methods as far as, recruiting girls for your band?
I recruit just like the football coach does, just like the basketball coach.
Mm.
Um, I started a project with my girls in connecting with other programs, because there are no feeders in my district. There are almost no middle school band programs, and there are really no elementary school band programs in an urban area. So I create my feeders. I take my girls, my upperclassmen, my I call it my A squad band, the D squad. I take them out the building, and we put on whole music productions in schools specifically that don't have music programs. So we're trying to light that fire,
Mm.
and specifically underserved populations. So I go to elementary schools and I do a winter concert series where we go on tour. We pick
Wow.
2 schools every year in the winter and 2 different schools in the spring.
Mm.
And we take the whole band, take my D squad out, and we do an interactive, we do pretty much an assembly. We run the whole thing, and it's school wide. So that's how I try to recruit girls, because if you see 60 girls who are black and brown on a stage playing movie theme music and stuff that's on the radio, and they playing Beyonce, because that's a hook for girls.
Right.
They're like, I'm coming to Western. I'm coming to Western to be in the band. So for the past 5 years, we've had pretty good numbers as far as all girl ensemble. This year I think I'm at 80 kids.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. Everything from tuba to flute.
Okay. So let's say one of your students, came and asked you, Miss Williams, I'm thinking about either marching in an HBCU band or a PWI band. Like, what advice would you give them?
Um, when I develop a musician, I develop them for any circumstance. I try to develop them from the stance that skills will always speak over anything. You know, you could do anything with skills. If you just know your horn, there isn't anything that you can't learn how to do. So I don't treat it like you're going to a PWI, so you need to act like this, or you're going to a HBCU, you need to act like this. I treat it like this. You're going, I don't care where you go, you're a reflection of this program. You need to know your scales. You need to be able to hold your own weight, because they're moving from a all-girls situation to co-ed. That's a big difference too. So I try to make sure they understand that skill is skill. You know, I don't know any band director that would refute somebody where that the foundation is set and they can push them to the next level.
Okay, okay. So have you ever had that moment of frustration or that moment that you just felt like giving up, that it was just too much?
Oh, man, listen, I don't think there is any real teacher. I don't think any teacher doesn't have those days where you go into class and you're like, I don't feel like it today. Or, you know, kids, they can push your buttons. And, you know, I've had some kids, they push your buttons and I'm like, man, I'm not catching the I'm not catching the case. I'm not about to wire you out and be on World Star Hip Hop. And you find things to keep you even. But yeah, certainly I have some days where I'm like, this is public education. It's rough now for the arts. It's rough for band, no
Right,
matter where you are.
right, right, right. Okay, so what are you looking for in a band student?
Um, I'm looking for someone willing to try. I don't get students who come from some program where a lot of times they've been taught well either. That's a real thing. And so I know sometimes I'm going into a situation in my classroom where I'm going to have to untrain them and then retrain them. And so I'm looking for someone who's willing to try, someone who's not a quitter. I can fix anything I feel strong about my teaching skills. I can fix all of that if you can just ride with me. If you roll with me, you won't regret it. And my parents, I work that same sense of trust in them. Like, if your kid sticks with me, you're not paying for school, at least not all out of your pocket.
Okay, okay. So what's one band event that you would like to go to that you haven't went to yet?
Oh, um, well, Eddie Evans was my drum major. I completely support Meet Me on the 50. You
Shout out
know,
to
he
Eddie.
was so that Battle of Birmingham. I would love to go. Because Alabama has like a concentration of bands that we don't have up here. We just don't. There are only two HBCUs in Maryland.
Mhm.
Um, I can't count all the HBCU bands in Alabama on one hand, because it's just a lot of schools down there. And I would like to be in that environment, experience what that feels like to see so many of us in this show style thing happening. I've been to Honda, but um, I'd like to just go to a place where band is really appreciated, because it's not so appreciated here.
And why do you think that? Why do you think that band is not really appreciated up there?
Maryland's a political state. Um, you know, we're right. We house DC. We're the DC metropolitan area. Um, there's a very academic push, and not saying that's bad, but it's to the point where they care more about trying to make students um, quote unquote academic scholars than making them well-rounded human beings. And sometimes it's a fight to get them to understand, and I'll say I call them the suits, to understand why it's valuable for kids to be in the arts and specifically band. So it has a lot to do with test scores, and like I said, we are very political when it comes to those state assessments and all those things. And so my kids have a lot of options for progress in their life and as far as like a future, but band hasn't found its way as a respected option for them yet. Keyword yet.
Okay, okay. So what advice would you give a up and coming band director?
Oh, up and coming veteran, you know, still figuring it out. Band director, you need a mentor.
Mm,
Um, I I have about four for different aspects. I can name them off my hand. Walter Harley, Oxon Hill High School. He's very business oriented and very into the politics of band outside of your classroom on a state level and on the regional level and conferences. I have my husband's band director, Patricia Hopkins. She was over Duval High School for, over 20 plus years. And she kind of helps me with that female band director issues that nobody else might understand. And, her being an elder, she can give me some insight. So I would say you need a mentor. You need to be open to change and open to critique from somebody who's done it, before you, because they know some struggles and they've been through some struggles that you may or may not have gone through and how to troubleshoot.
Okay. So what would you say was probably your toughest moment as a band director?
Toughest moment. When I transitioned from middle school to high school, I had built that band program from 10 kids to 120.
Wow.
And those kids really, even to this day, I'm in touch with a lot of my former band kids from my middle school days because I watched them kind of grow up from 5th grade to 8th grade. And then I kept track. Some of them came to the high school where I teach. And so I got to keep them a long time. But leaving the middle school, it wasn't that the program hadn't thrived. The program was built, established, and thriving. But I needed more. I needed the opportunity to have marching band, and that's not happening in middle school up here. And I needed to be able to stretch my wings out. And I felt like I was abandoning them and leaving them. That was that kind of hurt me to my heart because they were my first crop, so to speak.
Okay. So have you ever had like any, pushback or back and forth as far as with administration?
All the time. Oh, I'm always in the principal's office. I'm not, no, don't laugh at me. I don't want to wear it like a badge. That's not what I'm saying. But I fight for my girls and equity, and I don't like anybody marginalizing them, even people who are my authoritative figures, because I work for my students. I look at me as a teacher, I work for my students first, and you're here to support me in working for them. That's my job, is to work for them and they work for me. It's a partnership. So the first thing I was told by a principal who shall remain, we ain't gonna say no names, okay? Their first day at the school, they wanted to do a pep rally, and I was fired up. I was like, yeah, we can do a pep rally with, an email on the weekend is supposed to happen on Monday, the first day of school. You already know what that's about to look like. How am I going to get the kids all together? What are we wearing? We haven't even assigned uniforms yet. We don't have none of this figured out, but you know what? I want to be a team player. So the band, we lined up the band. They're getting ready to march down to the field, to the stadium. You don't walk a marching band, but I didn't know at the time she was very, I'm going to say marching band green, or I don't want to say ignorant. I'm going to say green. But they, we strike up the drum major and we doing what you're supposed to do to move the band to point A to point B. You are performing as soon as you put on that uniform and you leave out the band room, and you don't stop performing until you come back. And the girls, they didn't quite understand they needed to stagger dismissal. But this is also the first day of school. So this probably shouldn't have happened the first day of school. It should have happened like the Friday. That was not common sense isn't always common. But so long story short, they're marching down, and then the freshmen, and I live in Baltimore, so let's talk about our culture. They don't quite understand band culture. So, they jump in the street. Yay! They having, it's party time. My staff trying to keep them. There are 1,000 girls at my school, so they trying to act as police. I'm telling the drum major, just get us to the field. We got all this. Your job is to focus. You take orders from us, and we'll deal with this chaos later. We get to the field. We do about a 10-minute presentation. The band gets off the field, and then we march them back up to the building. Next day, I get called to the principal's office. First thing she said, this is not going to be all about the band. She felt like I performed for 30 minutes because when we started marching down,
Mhm.
that was a performance to her. The drum major doing all of his, his flash moves. That was, the dance girls, they're doing their 8 counts.
Mhm.
That was a performance.
Mhm.
I was like, no, that was just that's the culture of band and how you move a band.
Right.
When we got on the field, that was the performance. And
Mhm.
she argued back and forth. You trying to say I don't know what a performance is? And I was like, I ain't saying it, but you kind of saying it for me.
Right.
But I ended up being able to develop a mutual respect. Because good is good. I have a friend, Joan PC. She says, good is good, slaw is slaw. So if everybody keeps saying it's good, it is all about the band. And you just kind of maybe need to just get on board too.
Right. So what about parents? Have you had any pushback with parents?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's gonna happen. Sometimes it's a difference of approach. I don't let children run me. My son in my house doesn't run me. Nobody's kid's gonna run me. Um, there's, I understand developmental, changes, and we're talking high school girls, they can get mouthy. Um, but um, I like to say that anything I do with any of my students is something I would do with my own child. And sometimes that expectation where there hasn't been an expectation for the arts, um, they'll get a C and they're like, this is banned. Why do I have a C? I said, well, here are my standards.
Mhm.
And everybody in the room adheres to those standards.
Mhm.
Nobody gets special treatment.
Mhm.
Um, and I stick my ground, and eventually they kind of get with the program and kind of understand it. I just want them to be their best.
Okay. So have you ever had that moment where you maybe had to pull a band student to the side and probably tell, maybe I don't think band is really for you right now, or like have you ever had that moment?
I've never not I've never had to say it.
Mhm.
Some students come in that first year and the idea of band sounds great until they see the work that
Mhm.
goes into it.
Mhm.
And then they're like, this isn't for me. I always tell them, if you decide not to do band next year, there's going to be no grudges. When I see you in the hallway, I'm still going to, say, hey, how you doing? How's your other classes doing? A lot of times they leave and they kind of regret it.
Mhm.
They'll kind of be sitting on the sideline looking, like,
Mhm. Right.
so I don't kick out a kid.
Mhm.
Students do dismiss themselves. And if you don't follow a rule or you do something that's unsafe to the program or to others, that's when I have to have a conversation. Like, band isn't for you because these standards and these rules is what makes this program great. And I know you want this program to be great, so you can make a decision. Um, you know, we can change people, or we can change people. And most of the kids, they kind of get the hint. They're like, nah, I'm not coming back. Um, but I have more retention. I'm that's like one kid every 2 years, 2, 3 years. Like, they're just like, I don't like Miss Williams. Most of them like, Miss Williams ain't playing, y'all. But that's my Aunt Keisha. That's my nickname in the school. I don't. They call me Aunt Keisha because Aunt Keisha gets you together, but she'll get you out of trouble.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's kind of the culture that I have with most of my students in the school, even if they're not in band. They're like, oh, here come Aunt Keisha. Hey, how you doing, Aunt Keisha? I'm like, oh Lord, here we go.
Okay. So with all this talk about bands versus swag bands, what are your thoughts about it? Like, what's the differences between MEAC bands versus swag bands?
Oh, the elephant in the room. MEAC. I have my favorite MEAC bands. I also have my favorite swag bands.
Mhm.
I think you can't deny skill. That when you scrape away all the fluff, the people who got media teams that know how to mic them right and know how to get where the best angle. When
Mhm.
you strip that away, um, you can tell skill from skill,
Right.
plain and simple. No
Mhm.
matter what conference you're in, I can tell if all y'all do is crank up in the band room versus okay, somebody is being a music educator too in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the end of the day, we're marginalized enough. So I don't like it when we marginalize ourselves. I don't like it when people say these kids can't play classical music. I don't like it when people say these kids, the only thing they can do is this, because that's not true of our people. I feel like we have skills. We created the American sound of music single-handedly,
and that's facts.
And that's facts. So if I call a spade, I'm like, you ain't teaching kids how to cut off. And you can say that's not our style, and I can respect you for saying that's just not how you wanted to do it. But I look at college students as kids still. When they leave your program, are these music skills they can take anywhere? Can they sit next to somebody in the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and sit next to them? Can they go sit next to Wyclef Gordon in at a jazz or Jeff Bradshaw? Can they get in anybody's marching band and people will still be like, damn, they raw? My band director, I feel like, developed that in me. People like, oh, all she loves is classical and concert band. No, don't get it twisted. I was a raw band kid. Don't get it twisted. I played clarinet and I could be heard over the whole band. And I picked up mellophone, and 2 weeks later, I was wooing over the whole band. So, I understand culture, but I also have enough skills that I can walk in all of those. And I wish people develop band kids in that same sense. Enough skills that they could do anything.
Okay. I heard you say, you have your favorite MEAC and SWAC bands. So what are those bands for you?
You about to put me on blast? Hold on. People were trying to call me, and I've been fighting with my volume ever since, and now my son up here, he bye bye. I got you, because you on the phone too. Okay, you can sit there. My son listen, I want my mommy, which is a whole nother band director, woman band director, mom, wife life. That's a whole nother skill.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you were saying something about my favorite bands.
Yeah, your favorite MEAC and SWAC bands.
My favorite SWAC band or MEAC band?
Both SWAC and MEAC.
See, I feel like this is a setup. somebody gonna try to come for me. Jackson State.
Okay.
J-State, all the way.
Okay, why you say Jackson State?
They got. I feel like they got a lot of the elements right. I can hear the musicianship in how they play. I can, when it's time to turn it up, I know, stop it. I can. I feel like the showmanship is there, especially undeniably drum majors. You know that.
Yeah.
Don't fight that.
Yeah.
But I can tell that when they're not in marching band, that they're also working on, true skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of like their sound. They don't sound like everyone else. Not saying that everybody sounds the same, but I know J-State when I hear them.
Yeah, it's like that dark sound.
Yeah, I do. I like it.
Okay. But, who would be your favorite MEAC band?
All right, because I go to Morgan, I'm supposed to say Morgan, but I'm not. I'm going to lean towards the fact that my first band director implanted in my brain that Aggies are the only way. I really wanted to go to A&T. My parents didn't like the campus. And they was like, no.
Man.
Yeah. But I like A&T. They're doing some really good things with field shows and field shows.
Exactly.
And I'm feeling that. And they've been pretty consistent. They've been on an upswing for at least the last decade. Mm-hmm. So I would say definitely A&T and J-State.
Okay, okay. So, with all this, COVID-19 stuff going on, what would be some words of encouragement that you would like to give to your band students?
Um, I want my band students to know that just because we're not business as usual doesn't mean that we're still not business. You still gonna need to be about your horn, and this is a level of there's a level of responsibility on them that has never been, because now this is the time for the individual musician to be developed. And that's, I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because when you got a certain amount of people playing, you get a lot of kids who hide. And
Hmm.
when we go, a lot of schools going virtual, we actually don't know what we're going to do. Um, I I feel like they're gonna go virtual. That means I'm about to do one-on-ones. And I'm gonna see what you know.
Right, right.
I can work on you individually.
Hmm.
So that's, I want them to know that they still gotta work hard, because at the end of this, I said, I told them in a town hall I called with my band kids, when it got thick and we was like, hey, we not going back. I told them, listen, I don't want to come back to no sorry band. I'm just gonna tell you, straight up,
Hmm.
we can't suck. We can't have been coming from on this upswing and really pushing the ball, and then I come back and you guys can't play B flat scale. So I don't care what's going on. You better find some time to touch that horn,
Hmm.
because some of the things that you like to do is gonna be jeopardized if you slaw.
Right.
And I tell kids, if you slaw today, you
Hmm.
you need to go back to that practice room and get it right.
Hmm. I think kids need that. They need that tough love, that upfrontness. Sometimes you can't always sugarcoat stuff. You just gotta let them know.
Yep, true, true, true. I'm honest with them. That's one thing they definitely get and respect. They know Miss Williams ain't gonna lie.
Mhm. Okay, so who would you say are your biggest influencers as far as in the band world?
Biggest influence. Gotta go to you got well, are you talking about people or
Yeah, yeah, people.
people? Um, I have a lot of respect for Carlton Wright. He to me encompasses that all around band director, like tough love, but organized and strategic, but developing himself, still developing his methods, and still learning the learning. But and he's older, and so I think he's probably the type of band director I would like to be, as it relates to operating a holistic band program.
Okay, okay. So what would you say is the best thing to you being a band director? Like what's the best thing as far as being a band director to you?
Oh man, watching kids' face when they get it, like
Mhm.
that spark, that moment where they're in the moment and you can, you reminisce and that feeling, when a kid can finally play a song, or they do their first performance and everybody cheers for them. And
Mhm.
they've given their 110% and they're
Mhm.
sweating and they're tired, or they're on the stage and shaking in their boots. Like that first spring concert for my freshmen is a big deal, because we do it up. I'll send you some video. No one has seen a spring concert like mine. It's
Okay.
it's like a variety show, but it's all on tech. It's media. I got that idea from Morgan. We do like a inside marching band show
Mhm.
in December every year, and we showcase all ensembles, marching band down to jazz band, and watching that spark, watching that moment where they did a good job and they know it.
Okay, okay. Have you ever had that moment as, somebody tried to, I guess, take advantage of you and your band because, it's all females? Have you ever had that moment?
Oh man, they try. They
Mhm.
don't get too far. They tried. Like um I remember going to a competition. We went to a music in the parks.
Mhm.
It was the first time I decided to do it with that group. I felt like that was the year that I had all the elements together, and we went to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. And all around the park were these large programs where the kids don't look like my kids. And, you know, everybody's got the same shirt. And, you know, they pretty much taking their whole school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking up to the stage and, you know, someone's looking like they're ready. You know, you can tell the atmosphere.
Right.
Where you're expecting it not to go well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all black and brown, and I'm black, undeniably. And we get on this stage, and I heard a comment. It was like, I don't recognize any of this repertoire, so I don't know where they got I can hear them I can hear the commentary,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I can see you kind of like about to check out. Man, that first note though woke him up. He said, "Whoa!" I was like, "Yeah." And then I remember hearing a comment. Wait a minute, they're all girls. They're all girls. There are no boys on the stage, because they didn't know it was a, you know, co-ed school. I mean, not a co-ed school. So I did a parade last year. And it was for a Ravens player. I want to say, what's his name? I should know this. I know. I'm a Baltimorean. But he was being inducted in the Hall of Fame. He wanted a parade.
Okay.
And so Ray Lewis. Thank you. My husband
Oh,
just told me.
Okay.
Yeah, so they specifically requested my band.
Oh man, that's great.
They requested my band, and we're lining up. And, you know, I'm dressed in band director garb, but I refuse to wear that military suit. I got a lot more, you know, pizzazz than, you know, the hat, and I don't need to look like a man in a suit. I'm gonna look like me. But I dressed the part, and one of the players, he's like, "So, you know, where's the director of this fine group? You know, you're a parent, you're here helping." I was like, "Nah, I'm the band director." He laughed.
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, okay, you don't know." He was like, "Really? You wanted to do this?" And I was like, "The hell that's supposed to mean?" I started to lose that, trying to have that composure, but at the same, I'm about to cuss you out. I don't care how many zeros you got in your bank account. But, you know, he said something to like, he was like, "Well, man, I just wouldn't have thought." And he was like, "We've got a long way to go." And I told him, I said, "No, you have a long way to go. You know, this has been happening for you know, decades. This is a new concept."
Okay.
But you know, I you know, you can't deny when you hear the group, you like, okay, they sound good. You see my girls on stage, you're like, oh man, they sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something different's happening here.
Okay. So what do you tell your girls when, you know, they may hear comments like that, like the one where you said with the football player said who's a band director? Like, what do you tell those girls to keep them motivated?
I tell them that, you know, at the end of the day, you can't change a person's mind, but you can change their experience. And when they get to experience what it is that you do, you know you're effective. And they might not always say it, but their expressions will always be the telltale sign. And you use that as motivation. Can I get the person who's the biggest critic to enjoy what I do? You know, and not saying that should drive what they do, but that's a true mark that if you could get somebody who's a critic of what you do to kind of be like, yeah, you know, to come backpedal and say, yeah, y'all did a good job. I try to tell them, you know, you could do anything that the boys can do. And I don't baby them. You play tuba, you carry tuba. Like, when it's time to set up for assemblies and performances, they're carrying the stuff, they're putting the stands on the bus, and they're working it out, you know. I had a girl who played tuba. She was about 95 pounds wet. She would roll that tuba around the school. She got a cart, she rigged it up. And I like to build that confidence and that, you know, perseverance in my students.
Okay. So what would you say is your personal favorite song that your band plays?
Personal favorite? Oh man. You're gonna make me pick a. My girls love Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
I know that's old. That's a old school type mentality. They like old school music. Probably because their parents, that's what their mom listened to. That's what their dad listened to.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it when they play Earth, Wind, and Fire because they know the style, and that's hard to get kids to understand is a style. You can play the notes on the paper, but can you do all those licks and those falls? And I do a whole lesson on style with music, and so I like that's my favorite thing to listen to from them. But they'll probably say their favorite thing to play is "Don't Funk with My Heart." Black Eyed Peas. They like that for marching band. I have to tell them don't play it. Like don't go practice a scale. Don't be playing this little crank up 8-bar in F minor that you could put some little dirt in. Nah, just put that song away. You know it. I know you know it. But they love Don't Funk with My Heart. Jesus. I'm trying to retire. Every time I try to, they don't let me.
Okay. So you said that you marched for Morgan State, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what was your best experience marching with Morgan State?
Oh man, the best experience. It was this game that the weather was, gonna be sticky. And they told us go, make sure you bring your raincoat with you. And he brought the raincoats with us and got to the stadium. We had them on, so it was kind of creating this greenhouse effect in your body. Those big wool uniforms. We're in the north south. And we start we hot. And so we begging to come out we're trying to come out of these things. And everybody looks around, I think we're good. I don't think it's gonna rain. So we go down to the field, and we set up for the first stage for the drill, and we get to the ballot feature, and the sky, and it was Earth, Wind, and Fire. How fitting. We had an Earth, Wind, and Fire show, and the announcer says, and now we're bringing you the elements after the love is gone by the elements, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And God said, water. And the sky opened up in an unbelievable monsoon. I mean, it was just that rain that you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it rained like that for a hard 5 minutes while we were on the field, people sliding around, it looked like people, if you in siren knot, you throwing K's and you don't even want to, because you just sliding, you just skating. And we're muddy. We get back to the stadium, we tunneling in, and the sun opened up, sky opened up, like nothing happened. I was like,
don't you hate that?
But we played, it set the mood to play a ballad, like from your heart. And it was like the most beautiful rendition of After Love Is Gone I feel like I ever played. And it was like that moment where you connect with the music and connect with the elements too, literally and figuratively. So that was my favorite one. My husband in the background laughing at me. Yeah, it's just, you couldn't have written a better moment.
Okay, so since you marched at Morgan State, what was your personal favorite song at Morgan State that you guys played?
Oh, God, don't do that. We Are One. That it's kind of like it's the anthem. It's now become the Morgan State anthem, not just band, but we started playing it when I was maybe in my junior year. And it's this thing, everybody walks around the campus. I mean, Melvin and Miles is a great arranger. A lot of people, underrated hands down, but he can arrange, composer. He writes movie soundtracks. I mean, like official.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was so, I arrange a lot too. I learned how to arrange from him. But it was so well structured. And it's hard to write for a band where the instrumentations vary the way it can in the MEAC. I'm just gonna be honest. 1 year you might have 17 trumpets, and next year 3. It's just how the area is. But it was beautifully written, and we hit this triplet pattern, bop, 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 and it opens up in that chord. And I love getting to that lick. And, then the tubas kind of carry the line. And that's just the old school good tuba line. And, people walking around campus or people at the game and they got that one finger up. That's the Morgan State anthem right there. We are one. And that is my absolute favorite. The year that they don't play it is a year that I'm gonna be at an alumni meeting like, yo, what's up with this book? Who took it out the book? Who took it out the book? Whoever gets hired to replace them, they better not take it out the book. That's all I'm gonna say. There'll be problems.
Okay. So what would you say was your best homecoming year at Morgan?
Best homecoming year. My last one, 2004. That's that iconic one. And a lot of the people that I come in with, and the extended stayers, how that goes with band. That was a big year where a lot of us were going to be moving on. And I remember looking across the field like that last time at everybody, the ones us leaving, when y'all kind of make that eye contact, and you can see like the tear just coming down, like, the biggest, masculine dudes, like that tear is coming. You can't fight that feeling because, that's the last one. So it was definitely my last homecoming, 2004.
Okay. So let's say you have a student and, she wants to march for Morgan State. What's that one thing that you would say to her that will put her over the edge as far as marching for Morgan State?
The real authentic is be an a-hole. You about to go amongst notorious. I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of a moniker. We can be some a-holes at Morgan State. We don't take a lot of flack from people. You can talk whatever trash about our band you want. We are never going to cower away from an argument. We're not built that way because our band director isn't. And so I'll tell them that you got to be able to stand your own ground, and you need to be able to carry your own weight. And even if it's tough, you need to approach it like you know what you're doing, and you better let those emotions go later on. Because for girls, especially if you major in music, especially if you want to be a band director, you're gonna get marginalized a lot. You're gonna get those stereotypes exist, and people are gonna say things. It's getting better. But I remember, being told, oh, you never gonna write for the band. And then I started arranging for the band. And you never gonna, they won't be no high school band directors in this city. Nobody's gonna, and I'm a high school band director at like one of the top 3 high schools in the city. And so just letting them know that they need to be able to hold their own weight, and all those lessons that they learn from my band room, transfer them,
Okay, so if you had an opportunity to be a college band director, would you take that opportunity?
Oh, hell yeah. Wait a minute. That was my emotional response. Certain programs, yes. Certain programs, no. I shadowed the band director that I replaced at Western for 2 years. He actually had been kind of, checking me out because my middle school was up the street and feeds that high school. And, I believe that you need to know your history. And so if I take over a program, I want to respect the things that have been done, but I also want to move forward and build on that legacy. That's actually the motto of my band, is uniting only the best in theory and in practice. And so I want to be able to unite those things from the past with the things that I have learned how to do to take it to that next level. And some programs are not ready to hear that. Like some programs, they hire their alumni because their alumni know the program and they're not going to deviate. And sometimes that can actually destroy a program. But at the same time, there's some people come in the wrong way on the opposite end. They come in and they like, trash this, trash that, get rid of this, get rid of that. And I think that's disrespectful to, the people who built that program. There's always something good that was happening before you.
Right.
So
Okay.
it has to be the right recipe.
Okay. So where do you see the band culture in the next 5 to 10 years, or where would you like to see the band culture?
Um, there's some things I miss about, I'll say, I'm an old head. There's some things I miss about band. I miss kind of that undenying love to just be a musician, like to be good.
Hmm.
Not be big, but just be good
Hmm.
and have your own identity. And I feel like there's a lot of people trying to adopt the identity of other band programs. It doesn't work. It's not, that's not your school's identity, but you're trying to do it and failing at it, because it's not you're an imposter, so to speak.
Right,
So
right.
in the future, I think there are a lot of there's a lot of fresh ideas. There's a lot of young bloods coming out, but I feel like some of them there might be a kind of dip in skill because sometimes they just indicative of the generation changes
Hmm.
where they don't always want to listen to somebody who's done it before.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
you kind of hot-headed. And I had my years of hot-headedness, and then I calmed down and I would look at some stuff that I was not doing and look at what somebody else was doing before me. I said,
Hmm.
it was working. Why did I get rid of it? So, but there's also a new school of directors who came from those, that use of wisdom, but also with a new look on things. Like having media teams is ingenious. It's just every school needs one, and if you
Exactly.
don't have one, you need one.
Hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say, and I can recognize that that's something that needs to happen. Arranging styles have changed. Um, it just has, and it's not going to, it's not going to stop evolving because that's how life is. It just evolves. Um, so I'm excited. After COVID, who knows? You know, that's the real thing. So after this, who knows? Everybody's got, I feel like the God hit the reset button on all of us.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're gonna see a lot of, unfortunately, there'll be some programs that don't make it out. That's real, and you'll see who was rooted in, being instructors and being educators and motivators versus having egos and, just having competition and performance. And they find out once that's stripped away, they don't have a band program. And I
Hmm.
don't think those things make a band program completely. They add to it.
Hmm. Okay. So what do you think about high school bands that, sometimes mimics college band programs? Like, do you think that's a good look or a bad look?
I look at it like this. It's like a kid who wants to wear their mama's clothes, you know, because there's something that they see and they admire in what they do.
Hmm.
And so I do think high schools should be looking to the local university, especially if they're gonna feed them. That's good prep for the kids. That's just undeniable.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, um, you don't want them to think that they have arrived to that level, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because you can kind of create a kid that can't be shaped for another program.
Hmm.
Um, I don't send my kids specifically to Morgan. I send my students where they want to go and I prepare them for where they want to go. Do a lot of them go to Morgan? Certainly. This year I have none of them going to Morgan. Um, but I try to make sure that wherever they go, they'll fit.
Okay. So do you have, let's say someone was interested in sponsoring your band, what would you, how would you convince them into wanting to sponsor your band program?
Well, you can't deny that an all-girl band is just a dope idea to get behind. Um, I mean, how most people can't raise their hand and say that they've seen an all-girl band in high school, in a public school. That already is unique. We carry a lot of traditions with us, and we have longevity. Band has been at my school for over uh, 70 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and 50, I would say at least 52 years uninterrupted. There
Wow,
aren't a
that's
lot of
amazing.
programs that can say that they've had 52 years of straight, instruction. It stood the test of time. So, that's you're getting behind a legacy too. You're getting behind a strong alumni base. You're getting behind people who gone here and support the program and want to see it survive. So that's what I would say. Get behind Western Doves, only the best. That's a good model to get behind.
Okay. So would you do you have any last words, any last comments, any shout outs, anything like that?
I'm gonna shout out my arrangers friends. I have, we got a clique of arrangers that we kind of shoot the breeze. All of us are band directors, and we're from all different regions of band. We all teach show style. We all do show style, but SWAC, MEAC, CIW, every area, and we all respect each other. And so I shout out those people. I shout out my husband for sitting over there, probably like, why is she in another interview? What in the world? I never get to talk to. Shout out my son downstairs being a good kid, not running around embarrassing me on TV, in public, acting like you don't have no home training. But really a shout out to the band world. Like we in this grind together. Everybody's band is hard to do, no matter where you are now, because so many things have changed about, music education in general. So shout out to everybody who decides to go in that band room and continue to do what it is they do for kids, and work hard for kids, trying to make sure that the next generation can carry that torch. So that's my shout out.
Okay. Any last words for your band students that may be watching?
Ms. Williams, I'm gonna say this, and because they never hear me say this, they like, I have a student be like, Ms. Williams, you love us, and I'm like, I like y'all sometimes, because I'm a pretty tough cookie, but I do miss my band kids. I can't wait until we're back together, whatever capacity that looks like, and I do think about them and hope that they're safe above all, and that they have all the things that they need as kids, because some of them come from some pretty tough backgrounds. So I think about that a lot, because I was that kid too.
Okay, man. This has been a great interview. Even though I did start pretty late. So I apologize, everyone.
It's Friday. We ain't got nothing to do. We technically ain't got no job.
Right. It's been a great interview, man. I learned a lot, and I definitely will be in the Baltimore area, soon, so I'll definitely stop by your school. We could definitely do some work, get you girls, some more exposure, and, sponsor you all with, instruments or, reads, music stands, theory books, anything that you all might need. Just, we would definitely.
I'm about to tell people, anybody got to jump on sousaphones. My principal, she won't buy one. She just won't. And I buy one every 4 years, and it takes out my entire budget, like in one fell swoop. So anybody got the jump on donating sousaphones, because I have 4 tuba players right now, and 2.5 working sousaphones. So you get, and then none of them are the same brand, and none of them are even the same color. So we looks like Christmas ornaments. That's not a good look. So anybody got to jump on some sousaphones and want to send a sousaphone, I'm sure it's in better shape than what we working with. Duct tape has been my friend.
Okay. Well, this has been a great interview. Like I said, stay safe, you and your family,
Thank you.
And, I would definitely be talking to you all soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good one.